Friday, I played the Parks tournament. We had it's a series going on. I think it's called the Parks Big Stacks. It ended up being a pretty good tournament. It ended up like maybe 200 players in it. I didn't last super long. Felt like I played well enough, a little bit aggressive. I didn't get any cards. I folded the first three orbits, about 20 plus hands, and the starting stack was 25,000. I got down to about 21, 22, pretty much mostly folding. So eventually, I started getting some hands, big pairs, ace king, hands like that, and I built up my stack back to about 35k or so, and then this is probably like level 6 or so. I raised. I had 8 of clubs and 8 of spades. I believe I was under in the cutoff, pretty close to the button, and I make a raise. So the guy that played immediately after me, he 3-bets me. He didn't have a huge stack. He had maybe 15, 16,000. So I'm debating whether or not I should call my 8s. While I'm debating that, the blind, he goes all in. He had a little bit more than the other guy. It's still about 18k. I felt like he was trying to squeeze. Maybe he has hands like ace king, so I tank for a long time. I look over the other guy, what he does almost doesn't matter, even though I put him on a stronger hand than mine. But I had the other guy covered, and I'm hoping that if I call, this guy would fold. I put the other guy on, I'm on the bottom of my range, but I figured he was squeezing with any pair or hands like ace king, ace queen, even ace jack suited. So eventually I decided to call, and unfortunately the guy after me, he calls too. So it's a 3-way pot for I counted my stack and I still had another 15, 16,000, so I could still play. So I call, and all three of us are all in pre-flop. So we turn our cards over, and the blind who went all in first turns over kings. I'm behind. I have 8s, and the 3-better eventual caller hot 10, pocket 10. So it's like a complete setup hand. The flop comes out, queen, jack, 10. So at this point, I'm pretty much drawn dead. There's a set of 10s on the board. Even if a 9 hits, the king has a higher straight. So I'm resigned to the fact that I'm probably going to lose this hand. The board runs out. 3 diamonds and a king hits, so it's set over set hand, and this king's scooped it up. So I nursed my 18k stack a little bit more. A couple of orbits go by, I won a couple of hands, nothing big. I got too close to a starting stack, and I was in late position again, similar to last time I played a big hand. Actually, I was on the button this time, and there was 4 or 5 guys limped in. I'm on the button. I have queen 10, 2 face guards. I decide to call, and small blind calls, 6-way pot. And the big blind, same guy who had the kings before, he was a wild player. He dwindled down again to, we had probably had similar stacks, maybe had recovered by a little bit. He was, that stack size in the 20s. So he makes a big raise, trying to take down the pot. And they all fold. Back to me, there's a lot of dead money. So I decide with my queen 10, I'm going to be heads up. I'll see a flop, and I call. So the flop comes out, ace, queen, 6. He checks to me. I look at my queen 10. I decide to check back, minimize this pot, and I don't know what he had, but I put him on a hand like maybe at kings or jacks, and he's worried about the ace, or he's trapping. So the turn, 10 of diamonds. So here I hit my second pair. Unless you have a hand like king jack, which I couldn't really put him on. He leads out a bet. He put out, I think at that point we had about 20K each left. He put out a bet for like 5,000 and change, or like 5,000 and like another small chip. I hit my second pair here. I feel good, so I go all in, and he decides he's gonna call me. He tanked, not for too long, like a few seconds. He turns over ace king. He flopped, the best hand he could flop for that hand, and he's trying to trap me, see if I could bet, but I had hit my second pair before I bet or got aggressive. Fortunately, the river comes out at an ace, so he hit his trip aces to take me down. At that point, there's nothing I could do. He had 3, 5, 14% chance of winning. So I felt like I put it in good. He barely had me covered, and that was the end of the tournament for me. So that was it for the tournament for me. It was early enough that for like an hour or two, I played a little bit of cash, which, I play sometimes. I do relatively well, but I just don't love it. For me, it's like tournaments are like a sporting event, a competition. And, anyway, I did pretty well. I was dealt aces like 3 times in the first 45 minutes, and 4 times actually. The 4th time didn't hold up, but the first 3 times I flopped sets. And one time, one of the guys had 2 pairs, so I did okay enough. I think I doubled my buy-in by the time I cashed out. One interesting hand, there's a raise and a call comes to me. For me, cash games are like early part of a tournament where you're playing super deep. That's pretty much what I equated to, so I try to kind of play it accordingly. And I think I was on the button. I had 8, 9 of diamonds, and one of the blinds makes a huge raise, and it falls to me. Same way I treated the queen 10. Dead money. I have sort of connected cards. I decide to call and go to a flop. So we go to the flop. Obviously I have an 8, 9 of diamonds. Flop comes out 10, 6, 5. He let out a pretty big bet, maybe half the pot, maybe a little bit less than half the pot. But it was, a good lead out. I have a gutter shot. I decide to peel off a card and I call. The turn comes out a 7. I hit the nut straight. He put out another big bet. I mean, it was like almost a pot-sized bet, and I have the nuts here. I'm trying to decide if I should just call or raise him. I think I had like maybe $400 behind. His bet was like 100 and change. I didn't think it made sense when he just called, or even a raise. Min raise would have been like, I would have left me with like less than half the pot. So I decided to go all in. I go all in. He probably didn't realize that I had so much behind, but I mean, it was stacked reds. Maybe I had one fingers, like mostly reds. So I go all in. He doesn't hesitate too long. He calls. The river was a 3, and I turn over. Look, I say I have the nuts. Turn over 8, 9 of diamonds. Nothing beats me there, and I was able to scoop up a pretty big pot. And it would have been like a big day for me, except, or the fourth time the ace got cracked. I was up against kings. I put him all in. He limped in. I raised. He 3-bets me. At this point, it's isolated. There's no point. He made it over $100. He only had like 200 and change. And I go all in. He calls and he spikes a king on the turn for a set to beat my king. But it was a lot of fun. Like I said, I haven't played at Parks in a long time, like 5 years. And it was fun. It was a fun day. So next week next weekend, I'm gonna try to play for a couple of days. WSOP circuit event. I've only played once ever. Even though I go, the main WSOP tournament in June in Vegas. This is be the second time for me. Just playing a couple of events over a weekend. At Turner Sons, short drive, not super short, but should be fun.